Welcome to this edition of Topics in Southern Mongolian Human Rights, a project of the Southern Mongolian Human Rights Information Center. The human rights situation for the Mongolian people under the rule of the People's Republic of China continues to deteriorate. The rights of Mongolian herders, the indigenous people of the grasslands for thousands of years, continue to be trampled. Graft, corruption, and the attempt to sweep it all under the rug are the latest in an incident that demonstrates the inequity of the situation. Herders from Bayanur Gasha, and a Gasha consists of several villages, but these herders attempted to reclaim land where they grazed their livestock. They were met with violence and 12 of them were hospitalized. As shown previously, there are no concerns among the Chinese workers that met out the punishment that they might have to face the consequences with the authorities. When the herders attempted to go to the government to redress their grievances and gain access to their pastures, 5 of the organizers were arrested. When Mr. Tulgur, the elected head of Bayanur Gasha, hired a lawyer and tried to meet with Mr. Han Hao, the leader of the Shinsume Sum, and a sum is equivalent to a township, he wanted to just discuss the matter with his lawyer, and he was physically assaulted by Mr. Han Hao, and he and the lawyer were arrested and thrown in jail. The lawyer was released when he agreed not to represent the people from Bayanur Gasha. The 6 herders remain in custody since April and face charges that will keep them in jail for up to 7 years each. Additionally, an occupation-like atmosphere surrounds the area with the heavy presence of Chinese military, closely following the families of the 6 accused. The graft and corruption part comes in because the former local Chinese Communist Party secretary, Liu Jin, who may or may not have been bribed by the Shuanghe Forestry Company, and others, to keep herders off the land, but obviously received a considerable deal of money in his 30 years in that position. Shown here is the luxury resort built by Party Liu Jin for his 2 sons to own. Nice pay to be a Gasha Party secretary. On another front, the crackdown was not only confined to Ongniud Banner, but surfaced in a fiery display with 1,700 troops marching in step to protect stability in inner southern Mongolia. Not once, but at least twice so far, this anti-terrorism exercise, codenamed 2013 Mission Stability, has shown the local people of Tonglao and Hulinbur municipalities that crack Chinese government anti-terrorism troops can exercise, march in step, and shoot weapons accurately, and instill fear in the populace. The thinly veiled threats of violence against the civilian population are a warning against dissent, or sticking up for whatever rights you thought you had. The whole spectacle is a reminder of freedoms lost. Many ongoing human rights abuses are hard to ignore. Hada has remained under confinement by Chinese government authorities despite the fact that his 15-year sentence for a non-criminal act ended almost 3 years ago. After serving his sentence for crimes that would not be considered crime here in the West, Hada and his wife and son remained under confinement. Unable to travel freely or even speak to relatives, Hada, his wife Shana, and son Oiles are the victims of a system that does not even follow its own laws. Miss Hushinhu, prolific writer and crusader for human rights, also remains in custody since she was arrested in January 2011. Her crime was to seek justice for Hada and his family from their illegal confinement. These activists are being confined without charge because they refuse to be deported and leave their homelands or keep their mouths shut. This is a new way to silence dissent. Jail everyone who dissents. With the Chinese government recent announcement to resettle the nomad herdsmen of southern Mongolia, the countdown for the end of nomadic life in Inner Asia is a short 2 years away. The Chinese government's announcement makes it clear, whether voluntary or not, everyone will be moved off the land into urban housing projects. Please take a moment to write a letter to your congressional representatives and ask them to intercede with the government of the People's Republic of China to protect the human rights of the Mongolian people living under the yoke of Chinese communist tyranny. A sample letter is provided at the link below. Thanks for listening to this edition of Topics in Southern Mongolian Human Rights.